Hey, what's up? It's Amanda and I'm back with another video. So today's video, I just decided to like impromptu turn on the camera and we are going to be doing a weekend vlog. It is Thursday right now. I don't know the date. It's like July 18th, I think. It is July 18th. Anyways, I have a couple things to update you on. The day is like halfway through, or like more than halfway through. It's like 3 p.m. Yeah, I decided kind of late into the day, like I wanted to vlog, but I wanted to update y'all. I got a Kindle. I'm so excited. I got a green, I think this is like agave green Kindle, and this is the book that I queued up just so I could have something on the screen instead of just like the weird screensaver. I haven't actually started reading this though. I want to do a vlog reading Alex E. Harrow as like an author taste test, like how I did for Chelsea G. Summers. So let me know if you'd be interested in seeing me read Alex E. Harrow for the first time and kind of giving my first impressions on their writing. So that's that. I just wanted to update on that. And then I wanted to update on the book that I've started for this vlog. It is a highly anticipated book for me. If you didn't know, if you don't follow me on Instagram, I posted a poll. I'll leave it up here or up here. I posted a poll asking like, choose my next read based on these emojis. And the book that won was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. So this is going to be my first Ali Hazelwood and I'm very excited about it. We are following Misery and Lo. This is a paranormal romance, by the way. So they're in a world where there are vampires and werewolves. So Lo is a werewolf and Misery is a vampire, and they end up getting forced into this arranged marriage in order to basically form an alliance between the werewolves and the vampires. There's like all this political stuff happening, whatever. It's mostly a romance though, a paranormal romance, like I said. Misery has ulterior motives for this like arranged marriage. She's trying to find her best friend who has been missing for several months. I'm forgetting the timeline of like how long her friend has been missing, but there's a clue that her friend left behind that leads her to want to get married to Lo, if that makes sense. We're following Misery as she basically picks up her entire life and like moves it to the middle of like werewolf territory, and she, being a vampire, is like, what's going on? I don't know how to act. And immediately things start kind of, I don't want to say hitting the fan, but like things go awry. You know what I mean? So far I'm on page 105, which is chapter 8. Let me just fix my bookmark. I'm that much of the way through the book, so only like 25% of the way through. It is a long book for a romance. It's like almost 400 pages, but I'm really liking it so far. I'm liking the writing. It's very like bingeable, which is good because I'm feeling a reading slump coming on, and I'm trying to like force it away. I'm trying to fight it off, you know what I mean? Like we're battling head to head right now. And this is just making me want to read a little more. The fact that I'm actually enjoying this is making me very excited because the last book I read was Big Swiss by Jen Began, and like as much as I found the plot very interesting and what the main character was doing, like I found it very chaotic and like very like drama filled, and like I was eating it up. At the same time, I don't know if it was the writing or what, but I just didn't have the itch to keep picking it up. Like I didn't want to like binge it the way that I want to binge Bride right now. So anyways, that's a little tangent. It is almost 3:30. And essentially all I'm gonna do for the rest of the day is like clean and then cook dinner. Those are all my plans. So I'm going to check back in with you once I either have gotten further into the book or once I finish this book. Like if anything very interesting happens, I'm gonna check in. If not, I'm just gonna finish the book. You know what I mean? All right, hey y'all. It is Friday. It is Friday, July 17th. It is Friday, July 19th. Okay. And I wanted to update y'all on what's been going on. So I think I forgot to mention that yesterday I didn't have work at all. I was like completely off from work, and today I'm also completely off from work. So that's why I decided to film this vlog. If you hear any weird noises in the background, my dog is in this room with me. I'm in a new filming location as well. This is the guest room in my house. We decorated it all nice and blue, as you can see. And this is my other bookshelf that I have in the upstairs. These are completely like unread books. And then I also have like some Lego flowers, as well as like obviously like a vining plant here. This is a marble pothos. Yes. She is large. There's another vine over here next to this huge vase. Anyways, back to the books. So I wanted to update y'all. I decided to pick up my Kindle because I'm like, I have a Kindle. And I got approved for the arc of Men Have Called Her Crazy by Anna Marie Tendler, which I am so thankful to have gotten approved for this. I know this is like a really anticipated memoir that is coming out this year. A lot of people follow Anna Marie Tendler and are interested to hear her story. So I am one of those people that want to hear what she has to say. I'm only one chapter in, but I'm liking the writing so far. Her writing is just very personable, if that makes sense. Like, just the way that she writes is kind of casual, but not in a very like, how do I describe it? Not in like she's using LOL and like FML or like LMAO. She's not using slang like that I just mentioned. But just the way, like the cadence of her writing is just very like casual, like she's talking with a friend essentially. She's like confiding in you. So I'm liking it so far. I'm interested in reading more, but I don't think I'm gonna finish this in this vlog. Back to Bride. Let me show you my bookmark. I'm like a little over halfway. I'm maybe like 60% of the way through, and a lot has happened, okay? I read all of this yesterday. I read 250 pages yesterday, which I have to say, I don't remember the last time I did that. We are following, like I said in the beginning, Misery and Lo. They get forced into this like arranged marriage for like the vampires and the werewolves. And sorry, my dog is breathing into the camera right now. She's very excited because we just had a roofer come in, or like an inspector for the roof, because our roof is a little messed up. A tree fell on it. But anyways, back to the book. We are following Misery and Lo, like I mentioned in the beginning of this vlog. And we have seen their relationship kind of blossom a little bit in more of like a friendship kind of way. They're very much so like becoming more than just like acquaintances. They're becoming more friendly with each other, but I wouldn't say that they're just on like a friend level, if that makes sense, because they just had a scene in like the last chapter that I read where, this isn't a spoiler or anything, they're just trying to get out of like a situation. And so Misery, she feeds from Lo's neck, and it turns into a very sexually charged like scene, and I was like gagged. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to see more. Essentially the plot is mainly focusing on Misery's search for her friend Serena. Serena is a human, Mercy is a vampire, Lo is a werewolf. So you're like, how do all these three people like, how do all their stories intertwine? We find out about a secret that Lo has that apparently Serena knew about. So they mutually, Misery and Lo, have mutual like need for finding Serena. That is kind of what the plot is focusing on, but a lot is happening within the werewolf world because Misery has moved in with Lo. So she's like attending all these like werewolf meetings or whatever. Not all of them, because they don't want to let her know every single thing that they're up to. Yeah, so it's very interesting so far. I'm really liking the writing. It's very bingeable, like I said before. It's like, it makes me want to just keep on reading and reading and reading, and I don't want to put this book down. So I'm hoping that I can finish this today. I have a couple things to do. I have to go grocery shopping. I scheduled a grooming appointment for my dog, so I have to take her there. And that's about it. That's really all I'm gonna do. I also have to do like some work from home hours today because I'm doing like some special training online that I can't do at work. I wanted to do an hour of that, so we'll see. My dog's appointment isn't until 1 p.m. and it is currently 10:15 a.m. So I might just read a little and then do an hour of the work from home training, and then we'll see where that puts us. I'll probably grab lunch and then go drop my dog off. So yeah, we'll see what the day brings. It is the next day. It is Saturday, July 20th, I believe. I finished Bride last night by Ali Hazelwood, and I really enjoyed this one. I gave it a 4.25 stars technically, but like on Goodreads you can't do 4.25. You can't do like quarter or half stars. But on the story graph I gave it 4.25 stars. Anyways, this book was so good. I really enjoyed the romance between Misery and Lo. They were such a fun couple to watch, and also like the overarching mystery about Misery's friend Serena was very interesting. I did not see that plot twist coming. I guessed kind of part of it, and this is why I say kind of. I had like a passing thought that was like, oh, it's probably this person that did it or is responsible for it. And I was kind of right. I didn't like stick to that theory. It was just like a passing thought. And that person ended up being part of the grand scheme of things, but they weren't the overarching like big bad guy in the end. You know what I mean? So they were just like one small piece of the puzzle. But I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed seeing the relationship between Lo and Misery progress. I think that they are such a lovely couple, which is like so weird to say because they're like a werewolf and a vampire. But I don't know, I just really loved seeing them together. I think that they really connected very well. I think that I would definitely recommend this. There's one thing that a lot of people have said about this, like if you've never read a paranormal romance before, like beware, this thing happens. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. I was kind of expecting the worst with this paranormal thing that happens, but it really wasn't that bad. It was still kind of sexy, so I was just like, I don't know why people are like bumping their star rating down because of this thing. It has to do with like their sex, but that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna keep it, you know, a mystery for y'all. So anyways, I flew through this, honestly. I wasn't expecting to read this in 2 days, but I did. And I really enjoyed it. I really recommend, if you haven't read a paranormal romance before, like this is kind of like light work. In my opinion, I feel like I haven't read a ton of paranormal romance, okay? I have not. But I feel like this isn't one of the, like, I don't want to say worst, but this is not one of the most extreme paranormal romances that are out there. I feel like there's more extreme stuff out there. If not, then my tolerance is really, really high for sexual things like this. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into more Ali Hazelwood. I want to pick up more from her. I have, which books do I have? I have Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood, and I also have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is my first Ali Hazelwood. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I want to read Check and Mate next, because after Check and Mate, there's the whole love, theoretically, love hypothesis, whatever that series is. I want to get into that last because I feel like a lot of people hype that up. But yeah, today I have work. So I work 10 to 6 and I'm just gonna be at work all day. I'm probably gonna read a little bit. I have this book, The Glow. I don't feel like getting it right now, but I have this book, The Glow by Jessie Gaynor, that I'm reading, and it's very interesting. It's basically about this woman who, she's in PR and she's obsessed with like beauty and stuff like that. And this isn't along the veins of natural beauty where it's like a beauty horror. This is just like a literary fiction book with commentary about the beauty industry. But so essentially this woman is about to lose her job because her boss is like, girl, what the heck do you do all day? We checked your internet history and you're not doing anything productive. So she comes up with this like scheme to go to a wellness retreat and make that be like their next hit article. And she gets entangled in this wellness retreat that is kind of cultish. So it has cults, it has beauty and wellness and commentary on both of those. So it's very interesting. I'm only like 5 chapters in at this point, so I'm not super far in, but she just arrived at the wellness retreat and I'm very intrigued to continue with that. So I'm probably going to read a ton of that today because it's Saturday and Saturdays at my job are pretty slow in terms of like what I do. So I'm going to have a lot of free time on my hands. So I'm going to be reading The Glow. I will check in with y'all after work probably. And yeah, let's just get this day started. Hey y'all, so it is after work and I wanted to update you because I finished a book today, but it wasn't the book that I was expecting to finish today. I was at work all day and I, for some reason, decided, hey, I don't feel like reading The Glow right now, so let's just pick up a new book. And what did I do? I read Coraline, the graphic novel by Neil Gaiman. I love the movie Coraline. I think it is like so whimsical yet like eerie and spooky at the same time. It's like such a great fall Halloween kind of spooky story to watch. So I decided to read the graphic novel because I was like looking at all the graphic novels at my job and I was just like, this one sounds good. Unfortunately, I kind of didn't like it. Like, it was just very repetitive, which like one can only assume the book will be kind of the same as the movie. But I heard that the book was eerier and creepier because certain things happened differently. And I thought that the graphic novel, like being that I could like see visually what was happening, it would be creepy, but it kind of wasn't. I don't know. I'm giving it 3 stars, which is not a bad rating. I just think that since I've watched the movie so many times, I A, knew what was happening, and B, just wasn't, I don't know, vibing with the novel version of the movie, even though the novel came first. Anyways, So that is an update on my reading. I will check in with y'all once I've read more of Men Have Called Her Crazy by Anna Marie Tendler, the ebook that I'm reading. I will update y'all when I've read more of that. And if I decide to pick up another book, but tomorrow's the last day of this vlog, so we'll see how much reading I actually get done. Hey y'all, so it is Sunday, July 21st. I wanted to update on my reading. It is like noon time. I've been up for a while. I just had breakfast and showered as my hair's wet. It's air drying, and yeah, so I wanted to update on my reading. So the first book that I wanted to update on is Men Have Called Her Crazy by Anna Marie Tendler, the one I'm reading on my Kindle. So this one is really interesting. I don't know if I mentioned a synopsis about this, but this is basically about Anna Marie Tendler's time in a like hospital, like a psych, not the psych ward, but a psychiatric hospital. She goes for like an inpatient treatment slash, they call it like a diagnostic week or something like that. But essentially she is in a psych hospital and she's seeking treatment. And this happens in like 2021. This is a memoir, by the way. So this happens for her in 2021, and we're following that timeline, and we're also getting flashbacks to like her growing up, and we get to see the interesting relationship she has with men, the relationship she has with her parents, and how that translates into her mental health issues. And it's very interesting to read. There's certain things that I really identify with in terms of things that she's experienced as a woman and as like a young teen, but I just am finding it very interesting, and it's very raw and real and emotional. So I'm really liking it. I think I'm about 40% of the way through that one. I don't think I'm going to finish it in this vlog, but just know that I'm enjoying it. So keep your eyes out for the release date. I believe it is in August. I will have the release date on the screen. I would highly recommend pre-ordering that one so far. And the next book that I actually read and finished was The Sprite and the Gardener by Ree Abrigo and Joe Witt. I showed a little close-up of this. This is following Wisteria, who is the sprite, and Elena, who is the gardener. And so essentially in this world, it's not too far off from our real world. It just is imagining that there are sprites that live in our world. And essentially these sprites take care of like the flora and the fauna all across the world. And so we're following Wisteria as essentially in the beginning of the book, they explain that times have changed. So sprites like Wisteria used to be the ones taking care of all of the flora and the fauna, but now that humans got involved, they became the gardeners and they decided to start taking care of the flora and the fauna. Wisteria encounters Elena, who is the person holding Wisteria, and Elena is a first-time gardener and she is struggling. So Wisteria decides to help, and at first it's kind of secretly she's helping, but then she enlists the help of her friends and they work together with Elena to care for this garden that Elena is trying to start. And it is just so beautiful. Like, I just think it is stunning. It's so pretty. The colors and the drawings. And here are some of, these are some of Wisteria's friends. It's just so cute and wholesome. They're just trying to help Elena cultivate this garden, and it is adorable. So I read that this morning. I really enjoyed it, as you can tell. And next, what I'm going to be reading for the rest of this vlog, which is just until the end of today, is Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin. This one I actually started reading maybe like 2 years ago, and I only got about 70 pages in. It was due at the library, so I had to return it, and I never picked it up again. But now that I'm picking it up, I am going to be listening to the audiobook. I was physically reading it only the first time I picked this up, and it was going very, very slow. I was enjoying my time, but I was just getting a little frustrated with how slowly I was getting through it. I would read for like a half hour, 40 minutes, and I'd only get like 30 pages through the book, and I'm like, this is slower than my normal reading pace, because the words are so tiny in this book. Anyways, so this is a horror book in a world where it's basically like the zombie apocalypse, except it only attacks men, I believe. So it says on the back, Beth and Fran spend their days traveling the ravaged New England coast, hunting feral men and harvesting their organs in a gruesome effort to ensure they'll never face the same fate. Robbie lives by his gun and one hard-learned motto: other people aren't safe. After a brutal accident entwines the three of them, this found family of survivors must navigate murderous turfs, a sociopathic billionaire bunker brat, and awkward relationship dynamics, all while outrunning packs of feral men and their own demons. So essentially, like I said, it's kind of like a zombie apocalypse, except it's only affecting men. And specifically, they make the distinction of, like, how do I put this? People who have an excess of testosterone and produce a ton of testosterone are the ones being targeted. So our main characters, Beth and Fran, they are trans women, and so they naturally just produce a ton of testosterone. So their whole goal throughout this like apocalypse is to find hormones in order to, you know, avoid turning into feral men. And then they meet Robbie, who is also trans, but they are a trans man. So Robbie is safe because Robbie doesn't produce all the testosterone that, you know, turns these men into feral men. So it's very interesting, the dynamic between all of them. The last time I read this, like I said, I got to page 70, which is part 2. And I didn't start part 2 because I was like, I have to return this in a day. So I'm just going to start from the beginning, and we'll see how fast I'm getting through it and how I'm liking it the second time around. I expect that I'm going to like it the second time around is essentially what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm excited, and I'm going to be sewing today. That is my plan for today. So I'm going to show you my little setup. It's kind of janky because we don't have like a specific space where I can set up my sewing, but I'm gonna be making a skirt for myself, so we'll see what happens. Hey y'all, so it is still Sunday. I wanted to update on my book. I have gotten 87 pages into this, and that's a little farther than where I got to the first time I read this, or the first time I started reading this. There wasn't much mentioned in the synopsis on the back, but essentially what we have found so far, you can see my dog is coming this way. Hi Pearl. Hi Pearl. She's trying to lick me. There she goes. Are you gonna sit? Pearl, come here. No, she wants to play. Anyway, look at her. She's creeping. I'm gonna ignore her. Anyways, so what is happening right now is that Fran and Beth, you know, we were introduced to them. They're kind of the main characters. We're following them as they're living their day-to-day lives in this like apocalyptic world with the feral men, and they're out hunting for something, and they get caught with these TERFs. Now TERFs, if you don't know, are trans exclusionary radical feminists. So The TERFs in this world are claiming that the only acceptable human being is the cisgendered woman. Any person that is not a cisgendered woman is, and any, including like trans women, trans men, like they are kind of the scum of the earth, which is, you know, problematic. So they basically come across the leader of the TERFs and they call her Teach. One of them decides to try and shoot at Teach, to try and kill Teach, but then they miss because this woman who is the leader of the TERFs like bends down at the last second, and she bends down and misses the shot. And one of her like lackeys gets shot and killed. But so that sparks the TERFs to go after Fran and Beth. And Fran and Beth like narrowly escaped. They get injured along the way. And then we are introduced to Robbie. This is where Robbie and Fran and Beth, all their stories intersect. Essentially, Robbie saves Fran and Beth from being attacked by the feral men. So Beth gets injured, essentially. That's like the accident that the synopsis referred to. And so Fran and Robbie work together to help Beth get back to this woman named Indy who supplies them with their estrogen and also is kind of like a doctor. She was a fertility doctor before, you know, everything imploded, exploded, whatever you want to call it. Everything crumbled and society is kind of like in shambles. Anyways, they are working together and I made it, I don't know if I mentioned, but I made it to part 2. I'm like a chapter into part 2. So we switched perspectives in part 2. At least for the first chapter. There was a woman that was a part of the TERFs that went after Fran and Beth. She injured Fran, like she shot an arrow at her or something like that, and it like nicked her cheek. So that woman, we get her perspective in the first chapter of part 2, which I thought was very interesting. I didn't realize we were going to be getting a perspective from one of the TERFs. And it's very interesting because it seems that there's more trans women in this society than I was expecting, because with the rise of the TERFs, they are against trans women. Obviously, trans exclusionary radical feminism. That's what TERF stands for. It's very interesting to see that like a trans woman is a part of the TERFs. You know, it happens in real life, but I just was not expecting to get their perspective as well. So I thought that was interesting. That's as far as I am in this book. I'm gonna read more. I don't think I'm gonna finish it by the end of today. I'm only like a third of the way through. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. And I'm getting through it a lot faster than I was before. And also, I'm making ice cream because today is National Ice Cream Day. So I was like, perfect timing. I'm going to make ice cream. I got an ice cream maker a couple days ago because I've been wanting to make ice cream. And then it's like the stars aligned, you know what I mean? So I'm making ice cream. I will let y'all know how that goes, but that's going to be the end of the vlog.
I'm going to be listening to Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin while we make some ice cream. So let's get into it. First, we're going to take 2 cups of heavy cream and 1/3 cup of sugar, and we're going to let that simmer until the sugar dissolves. So for this recipe, I am making berry ice cream, so I took 2 cups of berries and mashed them. Next, we have to let the heavy cream mixture chill in the fridge. This took about 2 hours. Lastly, once the heavy cream has chilled for 2 hours, I poured the heavy cream mixture into an ice cream maker with the berries. This last part will take about 20 minutes for the ice cream to thicken up. But in the meantime, I just want to say that I'm loving Manhunt right now, and I highly recommend that you pick it up as well. So this recipe ended up making 2 pints, and I'm obsessed.
Hey y'all, so it is Monday, it is the end of the vlog, and I wanted to come on here and just wrap up all the things that I read. So the first book that I finished in this vlog was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. So that's that one. Highly recommend. The next book that I finished reading was Coraline by Neil Gaiman, but the graphic novel version of it. So that one was okay. Like I mentioned, I gave it 3 stars. And the last book that I read was this other graphic novel called The Sprite and the Gardener, and this one was adorable. I loved it so much. Gave it 5 stars. I tend to give like cozy, cute graphic novels 5 stars just because I love them so much. Not because they're like any feat or any like amazing, profound like story. I just love the cute, cozy vibes. So I also wanted to update on the 2 books that I did vlog about in this vlog, but I haven't necessarily finished them yet. So the last time I checked in with you about Men Have Called Her Crazy by Anna Marie Tendler, I think I was only 40% of the way in, and to be honest, I did not read any more. Okay, so I am really enjoying this though. I think it's a very heavy read, so there's definitely a lot of trigger warnings for this book. So know that going in and check those trigger warnings before you pick this one up. But so far, I'm really liking it, and I highly recommend that you pre-order this one. And lastly, we have Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin. I didn't read any more of this either. I was a little busy last night making ice cream, so that's what I was doing, and I didn't listen to the audiobook. But I'm also enjoying this one. I don't know if I mentioned this is a horror, so trigger warnings for this one as well. I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, I am on part 2 right now, and I read 1 chapter in part 2, and we are getting the perspective of one of the like bad guys in the book, one of the TERFs, and so I wasn't expecting that, and I'm really enjoying getting their perspective as well. So yeah, hopefully in another video, maybe my July wrap up, you'll see my final thoughts for these 2 books. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like down below, comment also what you're currently reading, and please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. If you don't know what to say, comment down below a fruit emoji, because there's a fruit on this cover, but I don't think we have an emoji for it. So comment like an apple or a cherry, I think, or a strawberry or a blueberry. So yeah, don't forget to follow me or friend me on all of my social medias. I have Instagram, Threads, TikTok, The Storygraph, and Goodreads. So yeah, follow me or friend me on those, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.